Yeah, sometimes I think when I get up early in the morning, oh, it's early, but then when I'm on the mat, right, it's like, oh, it's so nice. And these days I feel it's these birds, I'm living in the city, but the birds, they sing so nicely. And then I thought, well, maybe they have always sung that nicely, but I never noticed. And now that it was a bit more quiet, you can really hear that and enjoy that. And to meditate in the morning is a long tradition. Many traditions meditate in the morning because somehow it's kind of a holy time. Yeah, it's so fresh still, quiet. The mind maybe not already thinking too much. So in that gap between sleep and fully awake is a perfect time to meditate. And same thing in the evening, actually. Before going to sleep, also a perfect time. Because somehow our brain waves, they're already a little bit lowered. They're already a little bit more towards alpha, theta state, so slower brain waves. Whereas in everyday life, we have more the beta, the fast brain waves. So, hello Vanessa, so nice to have you with us, great. So yesterday I was speaking a little bit about the pineal gland, this kind of divine gland that we have in our brain, in the middle of the brain, that has to do something with spirituality, with our consciousness, with discovering the divinity within us. And then the ones, some of you were with Juno Borger yesterday, and he spoke more about, I mean, many things, but in the end, he spoke a lot about the heart space and that place in the heart without polarity. And it made me reflect a little bit, where is really the seat of consciousness? You know, we all speak about we want to get more conscious, or expansion of consciousness. But where is this seat really? Is it in the pineal gland? Is it in the heart? Is it in the right hemisphere of the brain? Because there has been some research done by Dalai Lama and others that they found that when monks meditate, they have more activation of the right hemisphere of the brain, or we could say equal activation. Normally only the left side of the brain is activated more. That's more the rational thinking kind of hemisphere. And then the right is more the intuitive. So they found in measurements with EEG, etc., that the right hemisphere is more activated. So is consciousness in the right hemisphere of the brain? And in psychology, we speak about the soul, right? And I studied psychology, and I find it quite funny that we study the soul, the psyche, but we have no idea where it is in our body. Still up to today. And I find that really interesting. That's why, in fact, I studied psychology, because I thought, how great is that to study a science that doesn't even, is not finished. It's just the beginning to explore that realm. And in that way, we cannot define somehow where is this consciousness. We can have reference points like the pineal gland, the heart, the soul, the right hemisphere of the brain, and we can experiment with those areas of our body. But we cannot fully put that consciousness in a box and say, yeah, there it is. And it used to be in earlier times that science, they thought consciousness is equal to the brain, that it's just in the brain. But now we start to experience with evolution that consciousness is much more than the brain. And what I find so interesting about meditation, and also these sessions we have together, and maybe also when you come to the open session at 11, we will explore that a bit more, is that in the end, we can only explore our consciousness through direct experience. That means, since we cannot truly define it, we have to go in and really research, okay, what is true for me? Does consciousness end with the limits of the body? Do I feel it in the pineal gland, or do I feel it in the heart? Or do I feel it everywhere? So in that way, it can, like I said before, it can be your own kind of research path. You become your own scientist of your consciousness to explore what is really true. And then maybe some of you watched this TED Talk yesterday that Juno was recommending. I watched it again. I had seen it before from this woman, Jill Bolte Taylor, who is a neuroscientist, and she had a stroke. And in that stroke, she had this experience of, wow, I'm much vaster than this. I'm much vaster than this body. So somehow she woke up and she was like, how cool is that? I'm a neuroscientist having a stroke and I'm discovering this new reality, you know? And somehow we can discover that without the stroke in this lifetime. And I find this really interesting because we are somehow exploring a realm which science cannot somehow capture and put in a box. And still more and more people start to experience that, wow, I am much vaster than I thought to be. I am not just living in this body-mind organism, but I can somehow expand consciousness and even feel the space around me. In the yoga tradition, they speak about discovering the subtle body. The subtle body is the body, the energetical body around you. So I just thought I will put that out to you so you can really use this time like your own little researcher, going with a torch inside and really see what is true for you, because whatever theory we hear is only theory until we really experience it to be true. So I'm really an advocate of direct experience, and that you go to see what is true. What do you find today within you?